Thanks to the support as a channel member, Jack Watson. Well, even as recently as 2 or 3 seasons ago, I didn't think we were going to reach this point, but this is Wembley's first ever game in the Champions League. Hello and welcome to part 132 of Wembley to Wembley. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our first ever Champions League game away against Valencia. And we also face Liverpool in the Premier League. Since you were last with me, we've played a few matches. We had a bit of a slow start to the season. You saw us pick up just the 1 point in the last episode. We then drew against Southampton, but have now followed that up with a couple of decent wins against teams we would expect to be down the bottom end of the table come the end of the season. We beat Crystal Palace 4-0. We beat Middlesbrough 3-1. We also beat Blackburn in the EFL Cup, all of which leaves us in 6th place in the league after 5 matches. And that will do. We just don't want to get relegated. As you can see as well, Romildo Paranos is joint top scorer in the Premier League with 4 goals from his first 5 games. This is a guy who couldn't get a game for Brentford in 3 years at the club. Sometimes I just think I'm a special managerial talent. I'm a player spotter. We have done a little bit more in the way of transfer shenanigans as well, but just before the transfer window closed. So we did manage to ship off the players we wanted to ship off. So Keenan Graben has gone on loan to Everton. Adam Duffy has gone on loan to Frosinone, and Kamani Dixon went on loan to Nottingham Forest. All of those leaving with potential future fees going into the transfer kitty allowed us to do some business of our own. So we were able to bring in Sam Lambert as our new club record signing, who I think I showed you in the last episode as the guy that I wanted as my extra attacking midfielder. Another Belgian. He's a Belgian under-21 international. Cost us £10.5 million on his minimum fee release clause, but he's a natural attacking midfielder and central midfielder, 4 stars of current ability, 5 stars of potential. We have got some decent strength in depth throughout this entire team now. And we added in a couple of loans as well. Ali Kibwana is a Congolese 24-year-old international defensive midfielder, 48 caps for DR Congo. He's a natural anchor, which means we won't necessarily have to play our centre-backs there, but can also play right-back, can play in the attacking midfield position as well. He joins us on loan for the season from Dortmund. We've got an optional future fee on him at £2.8 million if he turns out to be useful. And we've also got Rube Meulemans, another Belgian. We're finding some value in Belgium, boys and girls. He's 24 years old. He has 3 caps for Belgium. He's on loan for the season from Derby, but we do have fees attached to him if we avoid relegation from the Premier League, which we will. If we don't, it's a disaster. So if we avoid relegation, we pay them £14.5 million to make this move permanent. He has been at Derby for the last 2 seasons after they spent £23 million to bring him in from Antwerp. So why they've agreed to this deal, I'm not entirely sure. He started every game for them, or 3 of the 4 games for them before the deal went through. It's a very strange transfer for them to agree to, but he's as good as Fanamo, better than Agume, better than Brewers, and still only 24. It seemed like a no-brainer. So much value. And like I say, very strong strength in depth throughout the entire squad. Now, the one area I'd still like to strengthen is probably left back, especially because Dean Martin didn't get into our Champions League squad. The 3 players you had to miss out in the end: Martin, Kerslake and Castro. Castro less worried about because Vaughan is our starter now. Meulemans can play there, Agume can play there, Kibwana can play there. In midfield, we've got loads of depth. I don't worry about anyone missing out in midfield, but I probably should have put Martin in because we don't have another left back. So we're panic training all our right backs to play left back, and Hermoso is learning to play left back. And if anything happens to Ungressen, we'll just have to deal with it, I guess. It'll be fine. Let's play Valencia, our first ever game in the Champions League. Just to show you the Champions League draw that we've got. What have I done here? Where is Champions League? Champions League? Champions League, right at the bottom. So this is the draw that we've got. It's fair to say it's quite tricky. Valencia away, Dinamo Zagreb away. We're going to have to get a result against them. We've then got Bayern at home. And remember, home for us this season in the Champions League is Stamford Bridge, which we go to for an away game as well against Chelsea. And then we're at home against Anderlecht. That's going to be another must-win game. At home against NEC, which will be a must-win game. And then away against PSG, at home against Dortmund. I think based on using this new Champions League format a lot across lots of saves at this point, if we can get to 9 points, that should be enough to get us into the knockout rounds. Although, to be fair, the board were just happy for us to reach the Champions League proper, which we did automatically because English clubs do. So we could just lose every game in the Champions League and it not really matter. But obviously, the deeper into the competition we go, the more money we make, which is more money we can then invest back into players and keep progressing towards eventually maybe winning something, which of course is the goal for the save now. So the team against Valencia, it's Beswick in goal, a back four of Angressen, Meulemans, Agume and Vaughan, Fanimo and Christodoulou in midfield, Renault, Ansong and Paranos behind Williams up front. None of the strikers are really asserting themselves on the team yet, so I'm kind of rotating between them. Everybody's getting a couple of games and nobody's really scoring goals consistently just yet. The goals largely coming from midfield, from the wings, from the attacking midfielder. It's not really a disaster as long as the goals come from somewhere and we don't get relegated. It's fine, but it would be nice to have a striker who could, you know, get 20 goals for us. That's the dream, isn't it? And that guy that we signed on a free transfer from Norwich who got injured immediately, he's fit again next month, I think. So maybe he'll be the answer. He certainly looks the most promising of the bunch, but obviously we can't use him yet because he's only got one shoulder. And apparently you need two. Renault has picked up an injury, so we're probably going to take him off. We might just leave him on until half time. We don't need to fuss around him too much unless he really looks like he's starting to struggle. He has been a very important player for us so far, which I guess means we should probably look after him rather than leaving him on the pitch when he's got an injury. Fine, you've talked me into it. We'll take him off. So Renault can come off. Pep. No, why would I bring Pep on? We could bring Hermoso on. Hermoso will come on the left-hand side. Valencia have got in behind us here, and that is the first goal involving Wembley in Europe ever. Remember, not just our first Champions League game, our first ever game in European competition as well is in the Champions League stage. It's a challenge. It's completely outside of our comfort zone. We've never known anything like this before. And if we manage to pick up any points at all, that'd be lovely. But as an English representative in the competition, we obviously have to try and do our bit to keep the English coefficient high so that fifth place continues to get a spot in the future. So we can't just come in and be whipping boys. And we shouldn't be. We finished fifth in the Premier League. That is such a big miss from Williams. That is not okay, missing from there. That was on a plate for him from Hermoso. And actually, if you look at the match stats, we've been comfortably the better team in this game. And once again, are struggling from the lack of clinical finishing. Hermoso's got in behind here, though. He's been very bright since coming on and he's out hit the crossbar. Decided to forget trying to get Williams to do his job and just goes it alone, and very unlucky not to grab us the equaliser there. Williams is getting 15 minutes before Pep or Musak come on. Hermoso involved again, and Gessen's got the header there. Fanimo with it's from point blank range from Fanimo, and he's not able to apply the finish. Christodoulou now with the throw finds Fanimo. It's back to Christodoulou, floats it over to Ansong, who can't get the head onto it, but it's back in with Hermoso again, who drives it across the area, and finally it drops to Williams. I said he had 15 minutes. It only took him 3. Finally finishing a chance. It's 1-1. It is no less than we deserve. We are comfortably the better team in this game according to the match stats. We've been absolutely all over him. Williams is our first ever European goal scorer. And can we now go on and win the game? Looking at the match stats, goodness me, do we deserve it? Valencia have had 1 shot and scored. We've got an XG of nearly 3. And are playing incredibly well for European debutants. And the best player has been Hermoso. He is creating everything, and he whips across it again, and Williams is there, and the defender tries to get there ahead of him and scores the own goal. And in 7 minutes at the start of this second half, we've turned the tie on its head, and we're still underscoring our XG, but we have been excellent since the start of this second half, and Hermoso has come on and been absolutely game-changing. He's been brilliant. He's taking a corner now. Fanimo's there, and Meulemans has scored his first goal for the club. Did he stay onside? I hope he did. It's a lovely flick on from Fanimo. I mentioned in the last episode, set pieces were going to be important for us this year, and in the first 10 minutes of this second half, we've scored 3 goals, one of which is from the set piece. Lovely, lovely work. This is sensational. We are still underscoring our XG. We have been absolutely brilliant going forward. And Hermoso has just been involved in absolutely everything. He has been incredible. Valencia don't know what's hit them. They're creating nothing. What a performance from Wembley on our debut night in Europe. Right. Who are we going to bring on here? Cotton. Cotton makes sense. He can come on and play alongside Christodoulou. We'll take off Paranos and we can bring Pep on for him. I think Pep's long-term position is probably going to be on the wing. He's not really a finisher. He's not really looked particularly lively in front of goal, but if we can get him creating stuff from out wide, that works for me. He's very quick, which is very handy, obviously, in those roles. There is Pep. There is Agume. And there is goal number 4. It's from a set piece again. Did Agume stay onside? It's not clear. The referee's got his finger in his ear. He's double checking for us. Cross everything, boys and girls, because this wraps things up if this goes in, and it has. It's 4-1 to Wembley. We're a good football team. Forget about just scrabbling by in the Champions League. We're going to win the whole thing. We're 4-1 up and still underperforming XG. Sam Lambert is going to come on, so you're going to get to have a look at him. Christodoulou can get rested. Kibwana can come on for him. Cotton can go into the Segundo Volante role. And I think these boys deserve some praise. This second half performance has been absolutely fantastic. Good work, gentlemen. Kibwana heads the ball clear as well. A proper defensive midfielder in there is always welcome. Hopefully he's going to end up being a solid contribution to the midfield. But this has just been a very, very, very good second half. By the way, this came up a couple of episodes ago, and I don't think I've mentioned it in a video. Tom Best didn't leave. He's still our assistant manager. So there's that as well. Tom Best is here celebrating our first glorious Champions League night. Renault's going to be out for 3 to 6 weeks, but Williams scored. He gets a pat on the head. Lovely stuff from him. Money, £2.5 million for a win. This Champions League is going to be really quite important. There you go. Wembley assistant manager Tom Best has praised me. All I did, Tom, was say what you told me to say, but I appreciate your kind words. Now let's see if the Champions League hangover is still a thing 20 years in the future. We face Liverpool in a game. If we're serious about getting into the Champions League again, we need to be competitive in. So a couple of changes for the Liverpool game, both forced by injury. Obviously, Renault got injured on that aspect. To be fair, Hermoso would have come in anyway. And also Vaughan has got blisters. So Castro comes in at right back. Otherwise, it is the team that has just played so very well in the Champions League. Of course, Liverpool, I imagine, would have been playing in the Champions League as well. I assume they finished above us last year, right? I think they did. Did they? You'll let me know in the comments, I'm sure. But I imagine they've just had a European night as well. So they're hopefully going to be just as tired as we are, which should hopefully balance out the Champions League hangover. Christodoulou is learning to do long throws, as you can see. And Hermoso is, he started this episode with a bang, hasn't he? How can you disallow that for offside? If Castro's offside there, who cares? Hermoso's whacked it in from outside the area. I was going to say, you're not disallowing that for offside. But Christodoulou with the long throw, dangerous. Paranos gives it back to him, across to Christodoulou. I don't care where Castro's standing there. That's just gone straight in from Hermoso's shot. And he was brilliant when he came off the bench in the last game. And he's just carried it on into this one with a fantastic goal there. I mean, Renault has started the season well as well. It looks like we've got some proper competition on the left-hand side. This is why Duffy had to leave. I mean, we eventually did manage to convince him to get out the door, and hopefully, I assume he's keeping up with our results because he knows full well he could be back and in the team again, like the last time he went on loan. But I imagine this time he's keeping an eye on how we're playing and thinking, okay, I get it. I'm not getting in on that left-hand side anytime soon. He's got 2 very good players there who are a lot younger than I am. And that's exactly the situation that we've got. Still 1-0, although Liverpool testing us a little bit. I think Beswick had it covered. And as you can see, as it stands right now, we are lurking just outside that top 4 again. Although, of course, top 5 seems to be Champions League qualification. We obviously finished 5th and are one of 6 teams that did make it into the Champions League. So it's all very confusing. I miss the days when it was clear and easy to understand. But that being said, as the team that finished 5th, can't complain too much. we wouldn't have had that fun against Valencia if we'd have been in the Europa League. Well, I'm now thinking, based on that one performance, we could have gone and won the Europa League. We're unlikely to win the Champions League. When's the Champions League final going to be at Wembley Stadium? Can you imagine? Can you imagine if that's our first trip to Wembley in the entire save? I might be getting ahead of myself, but that is another very good save from Beswick, who is starting to look the part. It took him a little while to settle in. He was in and out of the team, rotating with Slocum when he first arrived, but he's settled in and is starting to look like a proper first-choice Premier League goalkeeper now, and made a good save there, although Liverpool following up with a corner that hopefully our enormous boys can defend. And Beswick is there getting involved with the enormous boys, just plucking it out of the sky. Lovely stuff from him. One more set piece. It's a shenanigans free kick from Liverpool. Beswick's equal to it again. He's having a very good game. Still only on a 6.9 rating, which is a little bit confusing based on everything we've seen him do in the highlights, but we're not going to complain too much. And he's looked for the clearance up towards Paranos. He is on an instruction to distribute short. We've had this discussion before in this save. For some reason, that instruction is just ignored by all of my goalkeepers. But he's making good saves, so I guess it doesn't matter. But he did bring it on himself by kicking it long. When all our big boys play in defence, there's no one up there to win the ball in the air. Don't kick it long. Play it out to the defenders, like you've been told to. I don't know how to force him to do it. It's on him as a player instruction. Just do it. Distribute short. But I guess we'll just accept he's going to keep making... He's a sweeper keeper now. It's not enough to just make good saves. He needs to be involved in the build-up play as well. And that involves not lumping it up towards these little boys up front. Right, it's another Christodoulou long throw. I mentioned several times that set piece is going to be key this year. This long throw is one of them. And Hermoso is lining up to shoot again, and it's only just pushed around the post by the Liverpool keeper. It was almost a carbon copy of the goal from the first half. And now Hermoso has got a corner, and we are a threat from these because of our big boys. Fanamo is one of them, and he can't get proper contact on it, and it goes over. It remains 1-0. I'd feel a lot more comfortable if we could grab ourselves a second goal here, but if we can, this will be a fantastic result and a real marker that we are ready to compete at the top end of the Premier League, because Liverpool are a good side. They've got their first team out against us. This isn't reputation taking it easy on us time like it was last season. This is a good Liverpool side against a good Wembley side, and we are holding our own. And that has got to be a positive thing. Right. We've got tired legs. Fanamo is definitely one of them. We're going to bring Kibwana on as the natural anchor man. Anson can come off for Lambert. Williams has been very, very quiet again. So Musat gets another opportunity. He gets 20 minutes up front as we continue to just kind of placehold until our main striker comes back. I haven't even remembered his name yet. He's not played a game. I don't need to learn his name just yet. Christodoulou needs a rest. Cottam can come on for him, and we'll take off Paranos, and Pep can come on the right hand side. Once again, we've got 10 minutes to hold on. We've been the better team. We deserve this. We just need to hold on. When our best player has been our goalkeeper, it does put it into a little bit of context. But if you look at the match stats, we're good value for our lead. So I'm not gonna give too much credit to Beswick. This is me. He's just helped me get there. I signed him at the end of the day, and that is a very, very good result at the end of a very, very good episode, results-wise. We might be quite good, boys and girls. And that's a big positive. I like it. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.